broken state claims. Came to show the movement moving like a freight train, breaking walls and crumble earth with every step we take. We walking by with lash and your neck will break. Never let it stray, so say it wrong or set it straight. So coming at us with an awkward demeanor is leaving your life in the dead of fate. So pedal straight, avoid these shots, we send it all costs. Truly believing that it'll be different, we watching your body get hauled off. Simple as this, we giving the vibe of the revolution that we living within. Diminish the doubt of the haters that talk on the low because of this minuscule shit.
My God, they've gone to plaid. Things speeding by your head really, really fast to give the impression of speed. What's up, nerds? It's 8 o'clock in the morning. It's 55 degrees and yuck again here at Site B. It's the 24th day of May. Happy Memorial Day weekend stuff. We should be outside barbecuing, except, of course, there's no sun. Maybe the world ended and we just didn't know it, and this is the purgatory we're supposed to be living in. That would explain a lot. Speaking of world ending and purgatory and everything we think we know about any topic being wrong, Wizards of the Coast is doing it again. We can't go 10 minutes. One day, we can't go one day without them doing something to make just any logically brained person go, what? And just when you think they can't go any further into the what realm of stuff, they do. They do. Yeah, and they do with two biggies. One of the biggies regards their new take on dragons, and the other one regards apparently something they said they would never, ever do again. But then again, they said they'd never do Ravenloft again, and they did. So, Wizards. So, the big theme of the past month has been everything we know about D&D for the past 50 years has been wrong, and the way we have played D&D for the past 50 years has been wrong. And a lot of people, far smarter than I, have been speculating on why Wizards is making these choices. And most of it's been, to either A, insult the older players, or B, kowtow to the basically non-existent market that they think was buying their product. A third theory has entered into the turbulent maelstrom. It's only heard this theory once so far, but I have a feeling it's gonna become more and more of the oh wait a minute theory. So one individual suggested that all these bizarre changes that Wizards of the Coast is making is in regards to controlling the product. It has nothing to do with insults or trying to be socially correct or whatever, but more to do with the weirdness of copyright and the weirdness of controlling the IP, which would go with Hasbro saying that really the only way they can make money at this point is to license things off to brands. So this individual speculates that ever since the OGL fiasco of last year, what Wizards of the Coast has been trying to do is separate themselves from any established 50-year-long representation of how we perceive things in the D&D. So how we perceive dragons, monsters, anything, because they don't want to be sued. They want their things to be universally distinct to them, so nobody can say I'm suing you. Nobody can do what we did a year ago with the OGL thing. If they completely change the way we, for example, perceive dragons and make the dragons their own, that maybe gives them complete control over that representation of dragons, and then nobody else can ever use that dragon again. And if they, anybody tries to sue them, they can say no. Ours are distinctly unique to us and have nothing to do with anything else with dragons, because, we don't hold any copyrights that are distinctly, to us, unless, of course, you count the 20 or so copyrights that they own that are distinct to them, like, I don't know, Beholder and Mind Flayer. But yeah, so that's an interesting theory that somebody has speculated, that it has to do with legalese. And to try and continue to enforce this, that, everything before 2024 D&D is wrong. D&D doesn't start until September of this year, when it is now 100% going to completely be Wizards of the Coast D&D and not have any connection to TSR Gygax D&D. Which, if it was any other universe, I would say, well, yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense. It's dumb and it feels like you're stabbing yourself in the back for the future, but it makes sense. But this is Wizards of the Coast, and Wizards of the Coast doesn't make sense. In fact, they make so much sense that they ignore their own lore and biology. So, Wizards of the Coast has dropped what the new dragons are going to look like. This is from a preview in comicbook.com from whatever. So since it's comicbook.com, take it with a grain of salt. So though usually they've been pretty accurate. They're changing the way dragons look, and they're changing everything we know about dragons. This comes from the designer, Mr. Herman, who claims, I would have on the main critique I have about D&D dragons is that they don't feel like they have a unique identities in what their personality was or where they lived in their biome. They really spearheaded what a modern day dragon looked at the time, but since then they hadn't really been innovative in a while. So we kind of wanted to give them the push while we were doing this refresh. So it's a good time to reinvent the dragons and what they are. So according to this guy, up to now, dragons and Dungeons and Dragons have had no unique personality, and they have never had a unique biome. They've just been these generic fire-breathing end of the dungeon monsters. So he's changing everything we know about dragons, including the way they look and the way that they do their stuff, breath weapons, attacks, personalities, and way they live, because this guy claims that up till now, we have never, ever seen how dragons are represented. No point in time. No point in time until today do we, at the 50 years, because everything we know about the past 50 years of D&D is, of course, wrong. Dragons, nope, don't know where they live, don't know anything about their personalities, don't know about their breath weapons. They've just sort of been these nebulous blobs. Yeah. So unless, of course, you count the fact that in the very first Monster Manual and in every Monster Manual since then, it is listed exactly where dragons are from, what type of personalities they usually have, and what their breath weapons are. The black dragon is typically found in swamps, although they also inhabit subterranean lairs. They always seek their deep, dark caves. They tend towards the midpoint between law and chaos in their evil. Blue dragons typically prefer deserts and arid lands. They always live in some vast underground caves. Sandy desert regions are the typical habitat of brass dragons, whose carnivorous lairs are often found therein. Brass dragons are quite forward and affectious, and they love to converse. They are rather selfish and tend towards neutrality. Bronze dragons prefer blah, blah, blah. Bronze dragons live in the underground, somewhere usually near water, and their personalities are generally beneficial and easy to get along with. Copper dragons like rocky regions and warmer areas like Nevada, where they live in small caverns. They tend to be rather selfish and somewhat neutral. Gold dragons are able to dwell anywhere, but their dwellings are always made of solid stone. Gold dragons are lawful, just, and good. They often take on the forms of animals so they can keep an eye on humans. Green dragons live underground in woods or forests. They are very nasty-tempered and thoroughly evil. Red dragons, usually found in great hills or mountains, very greedy, very vivacious. Smog. Silver dragons live in mountain peaks, clouds, and similar locations. They are very calm for the dragon types. They tend to like to take on humanoid forms to keep an eye on humans and generally do kind of cool things. And white dragons live up north, because white dragons always live up north. And they breathe ice, which would totally make sense that a creature that lives in ice would have a breath weapon that makes things colder, as opposed to a breath weapon that... I always thought white dragons should have a fire breath, but whatever. So despite, the most recent Monster Manual telling us exactly where dragons live, what their breath weapons are, and what their personalities are like. This guy says we've never done that. Okay, fine. We'll just ignore your own lore that came out in 2014 because, again, you're trying to really control the uniqueness of what's yours. Here we go. This is from Joshua. Thanks for showing up, Joshua. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't yet. The alteration into uniqueness is exactly the same thing that Warhammer has done to get away from generic terminology. You can't trademark Space Marines, but you can trademark Adeptus Mechanics. They can't trademark the word dragon, though you know they're going to try, but they can trademark their very specific look to dragon types. And if they make the dragon type look unique to them and unlike any other dragon we've ever seen, then they can say that's our dragon. Case in point, the brand new gold dragon. So this is the brand new gold dragon. You can see right here. Here's a more weird looking color picture, painting, or AI art of the gold dragon. I have no idea what it's doing right here. So you'll notice that the gold dragons no longer have wings. Those are wings. And then they can fly without wings. Those are wings. Instead, they have these ridiculously long tails, which go against the basic premise of adaptation, evolution. Why would you have a tail that long? But as of now, gold dragons at least no longer have wings. They're no longer oriental. They look like this. Those are wings. Don't believe me? Screw biology. Wings. 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 Well, glider membranes, but wings. 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 Oh, look, wings. But yeah, no, those are not wings. Yes, they are. They are glider membranes or wings. Basic biology 101. But apparently, we're wrong. In fact, you know how wrong we are about D&D and everything we've been told about D&D, including from Wizards of the Coast being wrong? Apparently, as of yesterday, we're okay with Kara-Tur again. Remember when they said that, Kara-Tur and Oriental Adventures was the most racist cultural appropriation title they've ever done, pissed off all the, the Connie Changs and the Daniel Kwans, and still to this day, Daniel Kwans, Connie Changs, Mackenzies, and all the others talk about how racist Kara-Tur was. Talk about how the cultural appropriation, talk about the fact that no single solitary Asian person had anything to do with the creation of Kara-Tur and the Oriental Adventure setting, despite the fact that Kara-Tur and the Oriental Adventure settings was written by, consulted on, and play tested by people of Asian American descent, including some Asian historians, but no. Nobody with even a touch of Asian blood in them had anything to do with Kara-Tur. And Wizards of the Coast, of course, because it is the most racist, inappropriate cultural appropriation, has said they we'll never do it again because we don't want to insult anybody. We don't want to insult Daniel Kwan or Connie Chang or Mackenzie or anybody of Asian or Asian American descent. So we're never going to revisit that, except, of course, the CEO of Hasbro claims that, oh, yeah, I'm actually in a Asian-themed campaign because white guys like me can't leave the hobby fast enough. And I think we should bring back this incredibly racist, sexist, inappropriate setting. Cal, if you mean was Oriental Adventures written by and consulted on by people of Asian or Asian American, yes, it was. I know some of them. I literally know the guy they consulted for the martial arts stuff. Yes. And they had an Asian historian. It was written by, play tested, and consulted by people of Asian and Asian descent. And yet still, Connie Chung, Daniel Kwan, Mackenzie, and all the other Asian and Asian American and people who are somehow connected to Asia that work with Wizards of the Coast or live in Seattle would have you believe that no, nobody of Asian, any way, shape, or form worked on Karator. And they have said, they'll never do it again because of how racist, sexist, inappropriate it was. Except Chris Cox has just come out and said that he is apparently in a Karator campaign and has been for a while, including he was in a Karator campaign apparently when Wizards of the Coast said, oh yeah, this is racist and we're never going to do it again. Well, now he's like, I think we should do it again. I think we should revisit it. I mean, yeah, I know we said these horrible things about this setting and anybody who played in this setting. And remember, old white guys like us can't leave the hobby fast enough. And everything before 2014 that was ever created is racist and horrible. And we will never do it again, but I will happily return to it. But what about, screw that. I know I said it. I'm wrong. Because, as we have discovered over the past week, the Wizards of the Coast new tagline for 2024 Dungeons and Dragons is everything we know about D&D for the past 50 years is wrong. And the way we have played D&D for the past 50 years is wrong until September. Yeah, we all did, because that's what we had to work with, I mean, even if you go back to original Dungeons and Dragons, day one, you had, hey, we're playing historically sort of accurate World War II and Napoleonics and stuff like that, all based upon stuff that sort of, kind of we think happened. We think that's what happened. So, hell, who knows? Maybe some of the guys there were old enough to remember. I don't know. World War, II ended in the late 40s. So 1970, might have been somebody there old enough. But yeah, it's based on historically, and then basically D&D from as we know, they were doing the Braunstein thing, and somebody said, "Can I run a wizard?" So yeah, and there's tons of historical and mythic stuff in D&D. Not counting, Jack Vance, Lovecraft, right? Lord of the Rings, duh, King Arthur, yeah, of course. So yeah, why and again, why are they trying to do this? Everything you know about D&D is wrong. And I think, yeah, Joshua is nailing it on the head there. The D&D that we see in 2024 D&D under the new SRD, which is completely different than the current SRD. For one thing, it's bigger. Will not be D&D as we know it. So technically, yes, everything we know and then the way we have been playing D&D for the past 50 years will be wrong, because this will just, be brand new, completely different, totally unique to Wizards of the Coast Dungeons and Dragons as they continue to try and separate themselves from the 50-year-long tradition and make it appear as if Hasbro made D&D. And nothing happened before. Up till now, it's been 2014 has been the line of demarcation, but now it's starting to feel like D&D didn't exist before 2024 is what they're trying to push. And I assume in a year now or two, or when they, once enough people have signed up to D&D and agreed to the new SRD, they'll drop the second half, and they'll go, oh yeah, not only did D&D before 2024 not ever happen, but we won't support that stuff anymore. I know we claim we're putting all the stuff in the Common Core, and I know we claim that 5.2 will be backwards compatible with 5.1. Well, if it literally says 5.2 will be completely different than 5.1, but you can still make product for 5.1. We just won't support it. And a year from now, we're just not going to make stuff for 5.1 anymore. Sound familiar? Same thing they did with 3.5. Because I don't know what they want to do. I don't know. Anyways, speaking of the SRD and the strange evolution of the hobby, Monty Cook, MCDM, yeah, Matt Colville sold out. I was going to say Monty Cook sold out, but no, it's Matt Colville sold out. So if you missed this one, we talked a little bit about it yesterday. The Matt Colville books are now on D&D Beyond, which, of course, from a business point of view, makes perfect sense because they were books he wrote specifically for 5e. It does look like 5e is going to be adopting the way he makes monsters look, as opposed to the way monsters looked in the previous monster manuals, which would, of course, explain why it's taking them so long to make the brand new monster manual if they are changing the stat block to the way they look in Flea Mortals. What does this mean for the MCDM D20? Does Matthew Colville now think he can't compete with Wizards? Or is he just, kind of subtly saying, I'll kowtow and sell out? Or is he saying, well, I don't think MCDM will be ready in time to compete with 2024 D&D. So I might as well just start making stuff available on D&D Beyond so I can continue to make my D&D money while I continue to drag my feet in the creation of MCDM. Because, I was originally just going to take 4th edition and represent it in a much more presentable, understandable way. But instead, I've decided to go on a completely bizarre tangent and, compete with D&D. But now maybe I'm thinking, I can't compete with D&D. Let Daggerheart try and compete with D&D. I'm going to join and kiss the ring. Yeah. So that's the Wizards of the Coast news today. I know we might have remembered Matt Colville saying he was going to stay independent and not make stuff for D&D Beyond, but apparently we remembered that wrong. I know we thought we understood where dragons lived and how they flew and what they looked like, but apparently we were wrong. And I know we thought Oriental Adventures was verboten, because we've been told that Oriental was verboten, and anybody who played Oriental Adventures was horrible, racist, sexist, homophobic, baby-eating, zombie-kissing person who, steps on kittens, but apparently that was wrong too. Everything you think is wrong. Everything you know is wrong. Everything you thought you knew about D&D for the past 50 years or how to play D&D, wrong. The truth is what Wizards of the Coast makes it. I know Wizards of the Coast will say we are totally against the ideas of this, autocratic 1984, think speak. The computer is always right. Paranoia, but that would, no, they're literally rewriting lore and history and basic biology. And going, that's not how biology works. I know our own product that we came out with in 2014 says this stuff, but no, we never said that. I don't know how to top that. What a great way to start a 3-day weekend, but with the weight that Jacob Marley dragging the chains with the boxes behind him. That's just the weights of the stupidity that Wizards of the Coast is going to drag us through the 3-day weekend. Change, Scrooge, change. Yeah. Well, Yeah, well, apparently the guy who's writing the new Monster Manual hasn't read the previous Monster Manuals or anything about dragons, because according to him, we've never said where dragons are from or what their personalities are like or what their breath weapons are. So I'm going to make that up and change it and just write whatever I want. Gold dragons now are chaotic neutral and they live in the snow. White dragons are lawful good and they live in Idaho. I don't know. Red dragons, they're not evil. They're just grumpy. They hibernate a lot. They're bears. Red dragons are bears. They live in the forest. Hey guys, you know what else is coming out in 2025? Arduin Grimoire. That's it. You know what to do. Please like, please share, please subscribe if you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet. Please buy my merch. Check it out. I'm on Drive-Thru now, and I'll be talking about that in a few minutes. I will now let you go and simmer in this stew of stupid. I appreciate each and every one of you.